Okay, so this is a video tutorial on a few helpful hints for multiplication facts. So I'm going to go through every number, 1 all the way down till all the way down to 11 times anything, and see if I can give you a couple hints on how I think about some of these and how I memorize these. So 1 times anything equals anything. So whatever this something is that I wrote down here, so this guy here, whatever that is, that's the same as this. Okay? So 1 times anything equals that same thing again. Okay? 1 is an easy one. I think all you guys got that. The other thing I guess I should mention is 0, maybe I'll use black here, 0 times anything, no matter what that thing is, always equals 0. Oops. There you go, 0. So that's another thing I should have mentioned. So 0 times anything equals 0. 1 times anything equals that same anything. Okay, looking down here at 2 times something. So 2 times anything, I think of always as anything plus itself. So anything plus anything. Okay, so whatever the first thing is, whatever this one is, these are also the same, but on this side of the equal sign, we have 2 of them. Okay, so 2 of anything. So 2 times anything. That's how I think of it. I just take this anything, the first anything, and multiply it. I add it to itself. Okay? I add it to itself. Okay. Looking at this next one here, we have 3 times anything. And this one, I honestly can't think of any good way of remembering this. But not all of them are there going to be good hints for you. You can obviously just do anything plus anything plus anything over and over again 3 times. So you could do that, but honestly the best thing is for you just to memorize this one. There isn't, at least that I can think of, there isn't any good way of remembering this, other than maybe you could do 2 times and then add another anything, but so you could notice that this is the same thing as up here, but other than that, really there's not much to notice. So 3 times anything, you need to start memorizing 3 times 1 all the way till 3 times 9. You just have to sort of memorize those. It's inescapable. So for that one, good to memorize. For 4 times something, I'm just going to start using A for anything instead of writing the whole word out. For 4 times anything, I would not think of it as 4 times anything, but I would think of it as, let's see if I can pick a new color here. Green. I love green. Okay, so I would think of it as 2 times anything plus 2 times anything. Okay, so you're thinking, how does this make it easier? It doesn't completely. Memorizing the times tables is always important, and I think that it'll speed you up if you memorize 4 times 1 all the way till 4 times 9. However, I do think there are sometimes good ways of starting out. And this is one way. So if you remember how to do the up here, remember if you know how to do this 2 times some number, then you should be able to do it twice over. So that's all you're doing here. You're doing it once, and then you're adding it to the second time. So adding it to itself. So that's how I think about it. I actually think about it like this. So 4 can be broken down to 4 is equal to, is the same thing as 2 times 2. Okay? So because 4 is the same thing as 2 times 2, I can write 4 times anything. Maybe I'll go back to the blue. 4 times anything is equal to, is the same thing as 2 times 2 times anything. Okay? So I just take this one here and I substitute it in for that 4. So I find that easier, at least to start. So that's just another helpful hint. So we're going to go down to this next one here, 5. So 5 times anything. Okay, so 5 times anything, I actually think of it as, oftentimes when I'm doing this, I'm breaking down this 5 and I'm making it equal into something. So 5 is the same thing as writing 10 over 2, or I'm just going to write it like this. So 10 divided by 2. So 5 is equal to 10 divided by 2. So how I think about this 5 times a, 5 times anything, is I think about it instead as a times by 10, and then I divide by 2. So how do we do times by 10? Well, we'll get to it a little bit later as well. Actually, maybe let's hop over there and do it right now. So 10 times anything. Whatever that anything is, you write that down, exactly that, and you just add a 0 afterwards. So let's say it's 10 times 4. I write the 4 down, and I put a 0. 10 times 167 equals 167 with a 0 afterwards, or 1670. Okay, so that one's really easy. I love this one. Okay, real easy. Star, star, awesome and easy. Okay, back to the 5s. So this is why I do it like that. So a times 10 divided by 2. So whatever a is, a 0 afterwards, and then divided by 2. Okay, so let's say a is 9. So this is where, let's make a 8. We'll make it an easy one first. So a times by 10 divided by 2. That's how I think about it. So instead of writing 8 times 5, I think about it like that. 8 times 10 divided by 2. So 8 times 10, 8 with a 0 after, divided by 2. Okay, good first step. How do we divide 80 by 2? We just split it up into 2 even groups. This is how I think about it. 40 plus 40 is equal to 80. So just one of those 40s would be half of 80, or 80 divided by 2. Okay? It's a little bit more challenging when you have a number like 9. Well, maybe let's choose a smaller number. 7. 7 times 5 equals 7 times 10 divided by 2. It still works. It's just a little bit harder. So 70 divided by 2. Well, 70 divided by 2 isn't a nice even number. it'll be 35 instead. So another thing to notice is every single number that is, so 5 times any number will always give you a number that ends with a 0 or ends with a 5. Another nice thing to notice. Okay, 5 times anything, no problem. You guys all have it now. Okay, so 6 times anything. The way I like to do is I like to break down the 6 into 2 times 3. And so we can write 2 times anything times 3. Okay? So that is one way of doing it. It might help, it might not. It depends on the number that anything is. Okay? So let's say your number is 6 times 7. Okay? So 6 times 7, maybe that's too hard, maybe you don't remember. So what you can do is you can do 3 times 7 plus, not plus, times 2. So I would do 3 times 7 first, the harder of the two. 21 times 2. And 21 times 2 is 42. Okay? So that's 6's. 7 times anything. Is going to be another one of those memorization ones. You're just going to have to memorize 1 times 7 all the way up until 9 times 7. Sorry about that. That's just how some of these go. Okay, and so for 8 times anything, I remember that 8 is 2 times 4, and 4 is 2 times 2. So 8, indeed, is then 2 times 2 times 2. So A times 2 times 2 times 2 is the same thing as 8 times A. So let's do a little example of this. 8 times 3 is the same thing as writing 2 times 2 times 2, here you go, times 3. Okay, we should already be able to do this because we memorized all the 3's, but let's go anyway. So 2 times 3, do this one first, is 6. And then we drag down the other 2, so 2 times 2 times 6. Then we'll pull these down. 2 times 6 equals 12. 2 times 12 now equals 24. And that's correct. So, I mean, or you could even do this if it's easier for you, and break it down like this. 2 times 4 times 3. So 4 times 3 equals 12 times 2 equals 24. So both ways work, whatever works for you. Now for 9, this one's kind of a fun one to try to remember. So you could do it the same sort of way and go 9 is 3 times 3 and go through it like that. So in that case it would be A is equal to 9 times A equals A times 3 times 3. But the way I remember is 9 times A is equal to two-digit number, right? Whatever the digits are, all digits must add up to 9. Okay? So this number and this number add to 9. Okay? So that's important to remember. And this first number is A minus 1. Okay? A minus 1, so we take our anything minus 1, we put it for the first number. Then their second number, we take 9 minus the A minus 1, or our first digit, and we put it there. Okay, so let's do a real example of it so we can actually see what it looks like. So 9 times 6. 9 times 6. So our first digit is a minus 1, or 6 minus 1. What's 6 minus 1? 6 minus 1 is, oh yeah, 5. Perfect. Almost forgot there. So our second digit would be 9 minus the 5 that we just put down. And what's 9 minus 5? 4. So we can double check that we did this right. Do those two add to 9? 5 plus 4 equals 9. Fantastic. So that's the way I remember it. I always take the number that's being multiplied by 9, subtract 1 to get our first digit, and then do 9 minus the first digit to get our second digit. Okay? And our last number that we should mention for multiplication facts is 11. And as long as a is a single digit, so maybe I'll write that down below, single digit, then this will hold true. Single digit. Then you can write it like this. A, not a times a, which is what this is in algebra, but a. So a and then write a again. So let's try that in real life to see what I mean. So 11 times 9. If you tried to do 9 plus 9 plus 9 11 times, it would take forever. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to write what our a was, which is, so 11 times a. So our 9 is that a. We're going to write that once, and we're going to write that twice. 99. Let's try it again. 11 times 7. We're going to write it once, and we're going to write it twice. And that's it. So hopefully, altogether, I've given you some ideas, some hints that might help you figure out multiplication facts from 0 times anything all the way up until 11 times anything. Hopefully this has been helpful for you guys, and that you guys do well in multiplication from now on. Good luck.